All right, another recording I do have is I'm going to talk about this film, the Tyler Perry's Joe's College Road Trip. It didn't do too well on IMDb, but we don't care about IMDb. This was a great film, nonetheless. For multiple reasons. So the overarching theme of the film is it gave slivers. Obviously understanding accepting where you come from is a part of it, but it's more so the willingness to learn. Obviously, in this case, about just a small sliver of Black history, and just the willing to be interested and learn too. Trying to convince them that the HBCUs are where it's at. Of course, uh, three, the biggest thing, basically a complete transformation of most of what been he's brought up with. I mean, to to the forefront. Now let me see. That's so fun. Okay, what? Okay, so the grandson is named BJ. I'm like, there's no way they just that was just like the most intentional thing humanly possible, right? Really, your son's name is BJ. I'm like, okay, this is going to go. Like, I saw the character, heard the name. I said, okay, uh huh, I got you. Um, but to pass that for a brief moment, there was a lot of comedic moments. Introducing Joe as the forefront was probably the best decision. They better do another one. I think they have to at least continue off because at the end he mentioned Vegas. So this sounds like a part one of three. So at the very least they're going to do Vegas, and then we'll see what happens after that. But I think this was good enough to continue. Um, there was many moments, but there were some moments like from watching other movies. You're like, why are these segments there? But then I realized I'm like, no one Tyler's style. This is probably for the better that it was like this. So kudos to him for this. Many people are Tyler Perry'd out, but honestly, this was a fresh direction. The plot line of just throwing away the new age, his gadgets, his phone, his uh, teaching the older generation about social media was actually funny. Um, Joe had no idea what he was talking about. It's the first time I've actually seen flashbacks of Joe as a pimp, and I was like, how did I not see that? This makes so much sense. Okay, so it was three scenes, right? He was like, "What have I ever done bad to you?" Um, what's his name? Brian. I forget the names honestly. I only saw it just once. Leave me alone. Okay, Brian. He was like, "What have I done bad as a father?" He was like, "You remember that time you dumped me the chimney thing?" And it's him stuck in the chimney, and Joe is like, "Yo, Joe is a sailor. Like, don't take your kids to this movie. Joe is a sailor. Every N word, R word, H word, hard R. I'm like, P word. I'm like, oh my God." He was losing it. So that was obnoxious but funny. But then you go to, he's like, okay, but what about the pool scene? He threw him in a pool with a alligator to teach. I said, okay, I'm just gonna turn my brain off because this is child abuse. This is 1,000,000% child abuse. But I'm like, okay, this is clearly meant to be fictional because A, how did he survive the alligator, and then B, Wow, that's how we teach people how to swim. I'm like, it's so out there. You would literally imagine that's like something you would never do. And then a few more scenes. So BJ is reluctant to go on this trip, and then they get into some crazy ish, like a biker gang. They're approached by a biker gang. No, they have to stop by this biker gang's bar, club, lounge. BJ has no clue how to interact or just anything else besides him and his friends, and just not understanding being in a situation. The grandpa comes in looking for him and has that's the most hilarious fight scene. Like they gave him a Medea showing, and clearly going back to his glory days because it just got crazy. He pulls out a chair, and I'm like, how did he fit the chair? But I'm like, you know what? Let's not. And then he has a Matrix kick scene. I'm like, okay, gotcha. This is where we're going. So then we bring up, go deeper into his not so kind days. He goes to a H house. A lot of young ladies see his grandson and they immediately, I'm like, this is absurd. What is this movie doing? And then I caught it. I was like, okay, BJ, the house. Okay, I got you. He did mention one thing. I did say, I was gonna say it later, but I'll say now. Joe did mention he's going to scar him. I'm like, uh-huh. Your son is going to come out a completely different person. And by the end of the movie, he's going to the HBCU, and yeah, the attitude didn't shifted. He didn't got the prize, so he's not going to be a good kid anymore. Let's just say that. So one of Joe's old friends tries to hook BJ up with one of the ladies, and that relationship is so funny. They have BJ has one of his more transformative scenes later in the film, and yeah, I guess he becomes a man. I don't know how to properly explain this, but I'm like, yeah, this kid is completely whatever you thought. He's not a nice kid anymore. It's way out there. So then a pimp who was not in charge of the young lady, but she was on his roster. The young lady that BJ was with came looking for her towards the end after the grandpa and them had a falling out. He threw them out of the car. I'm like, on the middle of the road. It's just so funny because they had a huge argument. And they basically have to go. Brian, who was I just found out, or I'd never really paid attention to, was a federal detective. He's clearly way high up because at the end of the movie, he just has he has contact to get. We're talking like a SWAT team level search with a. I forgot, was that a Hawk helicopter? Like that's the stuff you go for, like narco, like high crime lords and bosses, which this guy was, just not in that sense. So towards the end, the final, I guess, change in BJ's character is when Joe. So BJ initially had threw out all their guns. He threw out the Joe's gun, but when they're trying to dodge these people, this pimp lord, he realizes Joe has like more guns than Medea. He had like 5 different guns in like several different compartments. I said, bro, I'm so glad they did this with his character because this is such a Joe thing to do. Like it's like Medea on whatever the bar is, just break the bar. So BJ's never shot a gun. He takes the gun and now he starts to shoot. And I'm like, okay, this is a completely change of character. And towards the end, the father saves them. And in a hilarious twist, BJ, rather than going home, decides to stay with his grandpa and Yeah, a new pimp is yeah, his pimp hand is strong. I ain't gonna lie. I see the series ending with him skipping college and altogether and taking on the grandfather's role. He'll just be a very smart um because yeah, this is trip one. He hasn't went to Vegas yet because that's they said they're going to Vegas. So that's what I see as coming up. And oh my god, that's gonna be a hilarious ride. So shout outs to the cast, shout outs to the whole team, everybody involved. That was a good review. Hopefully they do more. So with that being said, that's the review of Joe's college trip.